the first question there is you have to understand your own self-perception. So the first thing that you have to do is decide on what your brand is and how you want to be perceived. And a surprising amount of organizations don't know that. But once we have that figured out, let's just start there. Once we have that figured out, we have to make sure, and we'll get into the consistency question in just a minute. So, I want to tease that answer, but making sure that every single thing that you do pulls in the same direction and reinforces your brand at every single touch point. And again, we'll get into that in depth in a minute, but consistency is key, making sure that across the entire, spectrum, digital all the way through to traditional and beyond, that, those customers can expect the exact same experience hammered home time after time.
Thank you, Greg. Why don't we just close with consistency then? I think that that's a big keyword within the creative realm. What does consistency mean to you both, and why is it such an important facet of the brand conversation?
Yeah, I think to build on sort of what Greg was kind of alluding to, I think consistency can feel hard and boring, especially when you are your brand and you are living it every single day. Your customer or your ideal customer is not living that brand every single day. So I think that one, consistency can feel hard, but it is so important because that is what's fostering the trust and reinforcing your brand identity. And you just have to remember that if you've built your brand the right way, it's the right message to be putting out there. It is connecting with your audience. They're just not seeing it as much as you are. And then again, sort of talking about where that brand lives, that consistency needs to happen across all those touch points as well. So messaging, visuals, and the experience, like it can't just be one piece of the pie. We need to make sure that we're delivering a consistent message across the board.
Greg, anything to add to the consistency conversation?
Give an example of what that might look like for a customer, right? About that same experience across every touch point. You're driving down the highway, you see a billboard, okay? That billboard might push you to a website. And then once you're on that website, that might result in some digital advertising. And then that digital advertising might compel me to walk into a showroom or a dealership. That's an example of consistency at work. And then that set me up and that's primed me to get the ultimate brand experience, which is, of course, being in your four walls and interacting with your people. So we want to make sure that we're like anticipating every single step of the customer journey and reinforcing the brand at each of those levels. Everything is kind of building off of the last and setting the stage for the next and for that ultimate goal of the conversion. So
I have a question. I think about consistency, Corrine. How do businesses typically underestimate consistency, and what impact does that have over time?
Yeah, so I sort of talked about this a little bit, but I definitely think that consistency is that underestimated part of your connection of advertising the brand versus acting the brand. So again, if your in-store experience, your online customer service, and then the advertising presence are all sending this mixed message, customers are either going to feel disappointed or confused, neither of which we want, right? So if your brand promises, personalized service, but the online experience is generic, they're getting generic responses, there's, nothing, they're having a frustrating time because nothing's really working the way they want it to, that is going to harm the brand's reputation. And I think the impact of inconsistency over time is that gradual erosion of your brand's equity. That's where you're not really seeing the strong relationship with your customers. And then again, like I said, those brands will sort of become less memorable, sort of fade into the background. And then you're not going to be able to be distinguished from your competitors, which is the whole point of building that brand to begin with.